BMP, Best Management Practices, Immature Plant Management and Land Development Strategies. The nature and nurture of sustainability. Applying BMP in the double-stage nursery phase cultivates the seeds of success. Healthy seedlings are now in the immature phase. The immature phase is where BMP strategies are applied to more quickly expedite the field to planting phase and eliminate runts, off-type palms, or palms with missing points. The objective of this phase is to significantly accelerate the onset of crop production while addressing the plantation's initial yield gaps. Proper implementation of best management practices during the immature phase will deliver high yield throughout the life cycle of the plantation. The immature phase begins after seedlings are transplanted from the double-stage nursery to carefully developed land areas in the field. However, before land development begins, a high conservation value land inventory is carried out. The HCV determines which areas should be protected. The HCV also supports the creation of an environmental impact assessment report. A legal obligation for nearly all plantations, the EIA is designed to evaluate and map plantations for environmental management of lands in general and protection of high conservation value areas specifically. As part of the EIA, management executes a semi-detailed soil survey. This survey analyzes soil conditions and properties in order to design a soil map. Soil maps are one tool to help designate planting areas, planting schedules, and assist in determining appropriate fertilizer rations. Fertilizer applications have to take into account the inherent soil fertility levels, and, in principle, more fertilizer is required for soils that are lower in fertility. Soil texture is also a consideration. Soils with a sandy texture which contain less than 5% clay are not productive and shouldn't be used. Coarse textured and hard pan soils are generally less suitable for palm oil and often less fertile, yet can be developed using tailored, site-specific soil management. For instance, spotosols with a hard pan can be successfully developed if 30 to 40 tons of empty fruit bunches are available for compost per hectare per year for the first 5 years. With HCV, EIA, and soil maps completed, the best and most productive planting areas can now be determined. Designated planting areas require a logistics layout to maximize land use, optimize efficiency of seedling planting, maintenance, and fruit bunch harvesting. BMP recommends using GPS and GIS to develop a well-conceived logistics layout. The logistics layout functions as a blueprint for the plantation and determines the best strategies for road construction, infrastructure, and palm density. The planting density depends on the fertility of the soil. The lower the fertility, the greater the planting density. Climate conditions, Ganoderma risk in rehabilitated plantations, and terrain also need to be considered. Sloped terrain with an average incline of 20% or 11 degrees requires contour terraces with stop bunds. These land modifications protect sloped terrain from erosion and uncontrolled runoff. Inclines of 10% or 6 degrees require platform installation. Platforms are roughly 3.5 meters in diameter. The platforms slope from front to back at a 15-degree angle. Sloped or not, degraded land should be the most common type of terrain used for palm planting. These areas are generally covered either by secondary forest, scrub, or alang-alang, the latter being the easiest type of degraded land to clear. Clearing alang-alang is a 3-step process. In the first phase, the land is rolled using a tractor-drawn roller. Then 3 rounds of glyphosate herbicide are applied. And finally, legume cover plants are sown to fix nitrogen. Applying the plantation's logistics layout, an adequate network of all-weather access roads and triangular grids for planting palms are then created. Since the top 10 centimeters of soil contains the bulk of indigenous nutrients, it's crucial that this layer remain undisturbed. When doing road and triangular grid construction, BMP recommends manual felling, piling felled material in tree stacks every second palm row. If heavy equipment is vital for stacking felled material, BMP suggests careful use of a shear blade in combination with a stick rake, as opposed to a flat-bladed dozer. BMP strongly suggests using GPS and GIS equipment for accurate road planning, baseline planting points, and assistance in positioning timber stacks. With roads and grids in place, the second alang-alang clearing process, involving a 3-stage application of glyphosate herbicide, is implemented. With all alang-alang removed, holes are dug for planting the seedlings. To further close yield gaps, planting holes are equidistant in the triangular grid. In mineral soils, palms are planted so that the base of the palm bowl is level with the surrounding soil. Soil is firm and evenly consolidated around the base of the seedling. Planting holes should be 10 centimeters wider and deeper than the size of the polybag. The IP&I Field Handbook, Immature, provides further guidance. With alang-alang cleared, the plantation infrastructure in place, and planting holes bored, legume cover plants are now sown. Along with fertilizers and crop residues, legume cover plants provide nutrients for optimal growth. Soil fertility status is generally very poor in cleared alang-alang areas, so nutrient management plays a critical role. Cover plants contribute by fixing and adding atmospheric nitrogen to soil, reduce soil erosion, and when properly planted and cared for, outcompete weeds that restrict growth. They also simplify inter-row maintenance while lowering labor costs. Cover plant seed mixture may consist of Puraria phaseoloids, Calipogonia mucinoids, and Centrosema pubescens. Depending on needs and goals, specific legume cover plants may be appropriate. IP&I's Oil Palm Management for Large and Sustainable Yields provides further guidance. Before planting legume cover plants, a 1-to-1 ratio of rock phosphate is mixed with the seeds. BMP recommends 7 kilograms per hectare of cover plant seed mixtures. Seeds need to be evenly spaced between the palm rows in 5 drills. Depending on the terrain, additional silt pits may be required to capture eroded soil and surface runoff. 1 week after cover seed germination, 50 to 100 kilograms of NPK fertilizer is applied to each hectare to accelerate plant growth. Legumes with small dark-colored leaves have a phosphorus deficiency induced by low soil fertility conditions. To correct this, 1 ton of reactive rock phosphate is applied. Necessary investments in phosphate fertilizers will be quickly recovered through the improvement of palm growth, nitrogen supply, and the reduction of weeding costs. Hand weeding is required during the first 3 months of cover plant growth. After 3 months, hand weeding can be replaced by herbicide application, which is regularly applied for the remaining 20 months until crop harvesting. Cover plants, combined with nutrient and location management, have now optimized growing conditions. Palm seedlings are now transported from the double-stage nursery for planting. Because these seedlings already carry the flowers that will later produce bunches, great care must be taken to prevent transplant shock. Symptoms of transplant shock include brown leaves and stunted growth. Severe plant shock can delay production by up to 12 months. Seedlings must be carefully loaded and well watered to stay in optimal condition for replanting. Seedlings are planted and a weekly census is carried out to locate, cull, and replace seedlings with transplant shock, ensuring a full palm stand. 2 to 4 rounds of palm census at 6 or 3-month intervals are required to document the stand per hectare and identify areas that require additional supply. Monthly patrols also check for pests and disease. Patrol and census data is collated and stored in an agronomy database. The plant's vegetative structures, trunk, leaves, and roots, develop during the immature phase. For seedlings to thrive, a continuous water supply is imperative. Plantations in areas with less rainfall should choose planting materials known to perform well under these conditions in order to maximize yield potentials. Avoiding stress during planting will greatly improve growth and flower production over the next 24 months, increasing yields. Once planted, seedlings require weeded palm circles in order to receive the maximum benefits from fertilization. Since herbicide sprays might damage plant growth during this early development stage, BMP recommends hand weeding of palm circles. Growing palms need a steady supply of nutrients. The indigenous supply of nutrients from low fertility tropical soils usually cannot meet the nutrient demands of growing palms. So fertilizer supplements of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium will likely be required. IPNI, the International Plant Nutrition Institute, has developed the 4R nutrient stewardship concept, which helps guide fertilizer application. 4R. The right fertilizer source applied at the right rate, in the right place, at the right time. Fertilizer should be spread evenly over hand-weeded circles using calibrated cups. Dumping fertilizer into weeded circles results in very poor uptake, as well as potentially damaging roots beneath the piles. Aside from traditional fertilizer, empty fruit bunches are used as organic fertilizer. During the first and second years of the immature phase, 25 tons of empty fruit bunches per hectare should be applied beginning soon after planting and annually thereafter. To more efficiently and accurately apply fertilizer, paths are established in every second palm interrow, providing accessibility for field workers and management staff. All palm rows need to be marked and numbered. Paths should be cleared 3 months after seedling planting. Additionally, crop loading platforms and standard block markers should be installed. Guidelines for best fertilization practices can also be found in the IPNI Oil Palm Handbook. Identifying potential growth constraints is crucial. Petiole cross-section measurements should be carried out yearly as another line of defense. These measurements are given to the seed producers who compare the plantation seeds to standard growth statistics, further eliminating yield gaps. Palms which exhibit signs of stress, plant shock, or appear flat-topped need either to be culled or more adequately supplied with the proper amount of moisture and nutrients. All these important steps greatly impact the future formations of healthy, productive fruit bunches. Through BMP, yield gaps are eliminated and maximum results achieved. Applying the IPNI best management practices, beginning in the double-stage nursery and moving into the immature phase, guarantees an efficient harvest and increased yields. BMP, Immature Plant Management and Land Development Strategies. Smart, efficient, effective.